For nearly 3 centuries, humanity carried a reputation that spread across the stars like an embarrassing rumor. It wasn't that humans were weak. It wasn't that their technology was outdated. In fact, human engineering ranked among the most advanced in known space. Human colonies stretched across dozens of sectors. Their trade networks connected hundreds of worlds, and their fleets were respected by every major power. Yet whenever military leaders across the galaxy discussed humanity, one word always surfaced: cowards. The accusation followed humans everywhere. The reason seemed obvious to outsiders. Humans avoided wars whenever possible. They negotiated when others demanded blood. They retreated from unwinnable battles instead of fighting to the last soldier. They abandoned territory if preserving lives required it. Human diplomats constantly sought compromises that other species viewed as weakness. To many alien civilizations, honor was measured by sacrifice. The Karthan Dominion celebrated warriors who died in battle. The Vexari clans considered retreat the greatest shame imaginable. The Dren Imperium trained children from birth to believe that surrender was worse than death. Compared to them, humanity looked soft. When border disputes emerged, humans negotiated. When pirates attacked colonies, humans evacuated civilians before launching counterattacks. When rival empires threatened war, humans opened communication channels instead of firing first. Over time, the label became accepted fact. Humans were intelligent, humans were wealthy, humans were innovative, but humans lacked courage. At least that was what the galaxy believed. No one repeated this belief more loudly than the generals of the Karthan Dominion. The Karthans ruled hundreds of systems through conquest. Their military was enormous, their soldiers genetically engineered for combat, and their commanders considered themselves the greatest warriors in existence. Their supreme commander, General Varek Thule, openly mocked humanity during military conferences. The humans hide behind diplomacy because they fear real battle. His words were broadcast throughout known space. Crowds cheered, other generals laughed. Many agreed. After all, the evidence seemed undeniable. Humans had not fought a major interstellar war in over 80 years. What the galaxy didn't understand was that humanity remembered something everyone else had forgotten. The purpose of war was not glory. The purpose of war was victory. And humans understood victory better than anyone. Because unlike many species, humans came from a world where survival itself had been a constant struggle. Predators, diseases, natural disasters, famine, conflict. Human history had been shaped by thousands of years of hardship. They learned lessons the galaxy never bothered to learn. The dead win no wars. Martyrs do not build civilizations. And courage without intelligence is simply another form of stupidity. Humanity avoided war because they understood exactly how terrible it could become. Unfortunately for the Karthans, they interpreted restraint as fear. Eventually, arrogance became action. The border world of New Horizon sat near Karthan territory. It was a peaceful colony with several million residents. The planet possessed valuable mineral deposits and strategic hyperspace routes. For years, Karthan leaders wanted control of it. One morning, without warning, a Karthan fleet emerged from hyperspace. Thousands of warships darkened the sky. Orbital defenses were destroyed within minutes. Military installations vanished beneath precision bombardments. The governor received a simple message: surrender, immediately. Human authorities ordered an evacuation rather than a suicidal defense. Civilian transports launched across the system. Millions escaped. Watching from orbit, General Varek laughed. Typical humans. News networks across the galaxy replayed the evacuation endlessly. Commentators mocked humanity. Military analysts declared the human coalition finished. The Karthans celebrated. They believed they had proven their point. Humans were cowards. Then humanity responded. Not with speeches, not with threats, not with diplomatic protests. For 3 weeks, absolutely nothing happened. Human fleets remained absent. Human politicians stayed silent. The silence confused everyone. Then reports began appearing. A Karthan supply convoy vanished. No distress signal, no survivors, no wreckage. Days later, another convoy disappeared. Then another. Then another. Entire military formations simply ceased to exist. At first, Karthan commanders assumed pirates were responsible. But pirates did not erase fleets. Something else was happening. Fear spread slowly. Then suddenly, recon vessels stopped reporting. Listening stations went dark. Patrol groups disappeared, one by one, system by system. An invisible hunter stalked the Dominion. No one understood how. No one understood why. Karthan intelligence eventually intercepted a classified human transmission. It contained only two names: the Boogeyman, Baba Yaga. The Karthans had no idea what those words meant. Human historians did. The names came from ancient Earth legends, stories told for generations, stories designed to frighten those who believed themselves safe, stories about relentless hunters who always found their targets, stories that never stopped pursuing their prey. The names were symbolic. Unfortunately for the Karthans, the people carrying those names were very real. The Boogeyman was the codename of Admiral Marcus Kane. Officially, he didn't exist. Most military records regarding him were classified. Throughout his career, entire enemy fleets vanished after encountering him. Governments collapsed, pirate kingdoms disappeared, insurrections ended overnight. No one ever knew exactly how he accomplished it. Only the results remained. Baba Yaga was even more terrifying. Commander Elena Volkov, a woman whose strategic brilliance bordered on impossible. She specialized in asymmetrical warfare. She didn't attack armies. She attacked certainty. She turned advantages into weaknesses, strength into vulnerability, confidence into panic. Together, they represented humanity's darkest military capabilities. Capabilities normally hidden from public view. Capabilities humanity preferred never to use. The Karthans had mistaken restraint for inability. Now they were discovering the difference. The first major strike occurred above Karthan Prime, the capital itself, the most heavily defended world in the Dominion. Security experts considered it untouchable. Then every military satellite around the planet shut down simultaneously. Communication grids collapsed. Defense systems malfunctioned. Sensors showed hundreds of hostile signatures approaching orbit. Panic erupted. Generals scrambled fleets. Weapons activated. Fighter squadrons launched. Then the hostile signatures vanished. They had never existed. It was a deception. A distraction. While the entire defense network focused on ghosts, human infiltrators crippled strategic infrastructure across the planet. No shots fired, no casualties, yet billions watched their supposedly invincible military become helpless. The humiliation was devastating. That was Baba Yaga. Meanwhile, the Boogeyman hunted fleets. He never attacked where expected, never followed predictable routes, never repeated tactics. Karthan admirals began fearing hyperspace itself. Every jump could be their last. Every sensor contact might conceal a trap. Every transmission could be compromised. The psychological damage became catastrophic. Ships traveled slower. Commanders hesitated. Officers questioned orders. Paranoia infected the entire military. The Dominion still possessed superior numbers, but numbers meant little when fear controlled decision-making. 6 months after the invasion of New Horizon, the impossible happened. Karthan forces began retreating, not because they were defeated in direct combat, because they no longer trusted their ability to fight. The legends had broken them. General Varric refused to accept reality. Determined to restore morale, he personally led a massive armada intended to destroy the human task force once and for all. Over 8,000 warships gathered, the largest fleet in Dominion history. news outlets across the galaxy covered the operation. Experts predicted humanity's destruction. Even human citizens watched nervously. The fleet entered the disputed sector. Hours passed. Nothing happened. Then sensor failures appeared. Communication disruptions followed. Navigation systems malfunctioned. Command networks fractured. Confusion spread. And then the attacks began. Not from one direction. From everywhere. Human vessels emerged from impossible positions. Stealth platforms activated throughout the battlefield. Drone swarms flooded defensive zones. Electronic warfare blinded entire formations. Precision strikes eliminated command ships. The Armada never managed to form a coherent battle line. Every movement had been anticipated. Every contingency predicted. Every weakness exploited. By the time General Varric understood the trap, it was already over. His fleet wasn't fighting a battle. It was surviving an execution. The engagement lasted less than 4 hours. When it ended, the greatest military force in Karthan history no longer existed. Across the galaxy, silence followed. For generations, aliens had mistaken human caution for cowardice. Now they understood. Humans did not avoid war because they feared it. Humans avoided war because they understood it. Better than anyone. They knew what happened when limits disappeared. They knew what emerged when survival became the only objective. The Boogeyman and Baba Yaga became legends almost overnight. Not because of how many enemies they destroyed, but because of what they revealed. Humanity's greatest strength was never its weapons, never its ships, never its technology. It was patience. Humans could endure insults. Humans could tolerate mockery. Humans could walk away from provocation. But when pushed beyond a certain point, they transformed into something terrifying. A civilization that understood every ugly lesson history had ever taught. A civilization that preferred peace because it knew the true cost of war. The Karthan Dominion signed an unconditional peace agreement shortly afterward. New Horizon was returned. Reparations were paid. Borders were restored. And General Varric's famous speech calling humans cowards was removed from every official archive. Yet the phrase survived, not as an insult, as a warning. Whenever young officers across the galaxy underestimated humanity, veterans would simply shake their heads and repeat the same words. They thought humans were cowards too, and somewhere in the room, someone would inevitably add. Then they met the Boogeyman and Baba Yaga.